You wake up before sunrise, long before the first call to prayer echoes across the valley. The room is silent except for the sound of your own breathing. You don't check your phone because you don't have one. Even if you did, you would think twice before using it. Every morning begins with the same question. What rules changed while you were asleep? Your entire life is measured by rules. Some are spoken openly. Others are whispered between neighbors. Many are learned only after someone disappears. This is your life at every level of Taliban rule. At first, life seems almost ordinary. The market's still open. Bakers still pull warm bread from clay ovens. Children chase each other through dusty streets. Farmers walk toward their fields before the sun rises above the mountains. From a distance, nothing appears unusual. Then you notice the silence. Music no longer spills from shop speakers. Wedding halls stand empty. Barber shops have removed posters showing modern hairstyles. Television screens display only approved programs. Every conversation pauses when strangers walk nearby. People don't stop living. They simply stop expressing themselves. Soon the new rules arrive one after another. Women disappear from offices, schools, and universities. Female teachers no longer stand in classrooms. Doctors leave hospitals. Journalists vanish from television stations. Families who once relied on two incomes suddenly struggle to buy flour. You begin noticing something strange. Half of your community is no longer visible. The streets become overwhelmingly male. Government buildings are staffed almost entirely by men. Restaurants build curtains and separate entrances. Public parks open on different days for men and women, or not at all. An entire society slowly splits in two. For boys, childhood changes too. School continues, but not as before. Subjects become different. Teachers avoid questions that could sound political. History becomes shorter. Science becomes simpler. Curiosity becomes dangerous. You learn that sometimes the safest answer is no answer. Girls face an even harsher reality. One day they're told to stay home temporarily. Weeks become months. Months become years. School uniforms hang untouched in closets, while dreams quietly expire behind closed doors. A generation grows older without ever graduating. At home, fathers carry a weight they've never known before. They can't promise their daughters a future because they no longer control it. Mothers teach what they can from memory, reading old textbooks hidden inside kitchen cupboards. Education becomes an act of resistance. Then comes work. If you owned a business, customers become fewer every week. International aid shrinks. Banks limit withdrawals. Prices climb while wages disappear. Bread costs more. Fuel costs more. Medicine becomes almost impossible to afford. You spend hours standing in lines outside banks, hoping today's withdrawal limit will be enough to feed your family. Sometimes it isn't. The economy doesn't collapse all at once. It slowly forgets how to function. Engineers leave. Doctors leave. Professors leave. Programmers leave. Anyone with a chance to escape joins the endless line at passport offices and border crossings. Every departure leaves another empty chair behind. The country doesn't just lose people. It loses experience. It loses memory. It loses hope. Travel becomes another challenge. Roads are lined with checkpoints. Armed men inspect vehicles. Identification papers become as important as food. Every journey requires answers to questions you didn't expect. Where are you going? Why? Who are you visiting? How long will you stay? Even if you've done nothing wrong, your heartbeat speeds up every time a checkpoint comes into view, because uncertainty is frightening. Sometimes you're waved through in seconds. Sometimes you're questioned for an hour. The difference depends on people you've never met. Information itself becomes dangerous. Foreign news websites stop working. Independent journalists leave the country. Local reporters learn to censor themselves before anyone else does it for them. Rumors spread faster than facts. One person says a new law has passed. Another insists it's false. Nobody knows who to believe. When truth becomes uncertain, fear fills the empty space. Entertainment slowly disappears. Movie theaters close. Concerts vanish. Music lessons stop. Artists hide their paintings. Photographers avoid carrying cameras. Creative people begin asking a painful question. If nobody can see my work, am I still an artist? Even sports change. Some stadiums stand nearly empty. Athletes lose sponsors. International competitions become difficult to attend. Children still kick footballs through narrow streets, but many wonder whether dreams can survive inside shrinking worlds. Healthcare suffers quietly. Medicines become scarce. Hospitals lose experienced staff. Patients travel hundreds of kilometers searching for specialists who have already emigrated. A simple illness becomes complicated. A complicated illness becomes a tragedy. Mental health becomes the invisible crisis. Every family carries anxiety. Parents worry about tomorrow. Young people worry they'll never build careers. Grandparents worry they've lived long enough to watch history repeat itself. Nobody talks about stress. Everyone feels it. Then there is surveillance. You begin editing your own conversations, not because someone told you to, because you don't know who might be listening. You stop making jokes. You stop discussing politics. You stop asking difficult questions. Eventually, you stop thinking them out loud. Fear changes language before it changes laws. Religion, for many people, remains deeply important. Mosques stay full. Prayers continue. Faith offers comfort during uncertain times. But many people also discover the difference between personal belief and state enforcement. When belief becomes compulsory, spirituality becomes more complicated. Some feel closer to faith. Others feel trapped between devotion and fear. Families adapt in countless ways. Birthdays become smaller. Weddings become quieter. Holiday celebrations lose some of their color. People still gather. They simply celebrate more carefully. Children born during these years know no other reality. They don't remember music in restaurants. They don't remember girls sitting beside boys in classrooms. They don't remember women working behind pharmacy counters. For them, this world feels normal. Only older generations recognize everything that's missing. Outside the country, headlines appear for a few days whenever something dramatic happens. Then attention moves elsewhere. But life inside continues. Every morning, every afternoon, every night, ordinary people continue doing extraordinary things simply to survive. Teachers secretly tutor students inside homes. Doctors treat patients with limited supplies. Neighbors share food. Families sell treasured possessions one by one. Communities quietly support widows, orphans, and elderly relatives. Kindness becomes one of the few resources that never completely runs out. Yet even kindness has limits when poverty grows deep enough. Winter arrives. Snow covers mountain roads. Heating fuel becomes expensive. Parents face impossible choices. Buy medicine or buy firewood, feed the children, or pay transportation costs. Every decision sacrifices something else. The hardest part isn't hunger. It's uncertainty. Nobody knows what next year will look like. Young adults postpone marriage because they can't afford homes. Students wonder whether education still has meaning. Business owners hesitate to invest. Everyone waits. Waiting becomes a way of life. Some people decide to leave. The journey isn't easy. Families sell houses to pay smugglers. They cross mountains at night. They risk rivers, deserts, and dangerous borders. Some make it. Some are turned back. Some disappear along the way. Leaving home becomes its own kind of heartbreak. Others choose to stay, not because life is easy, because home is still home. Their parents are buried there. Their language belongs there. Their memories belong there. Hope, however fragile, still belongs there too. Years pass. Children become adults. Adults become old. The headlines change around the world, but daily life changes slowly. The greatest lesson isn't about politics. It isn't about governments. It isn't even about war. It's about how ordinary people adapt when every choice becomes difficult. History often remembers leaders. It remembers battles. It remembers dates. But history is actually built by ordinary people who wake up every morning and keep going despite impossible circumstances. The mother teaching her daughter to read in secret. The shopkeeper extending credit to hungry neighbors. The doctor refusing to abandon patients. The teacher saving old textbooks for another generation. These people rarely appear in documentaries, yet they carry entire societies on their shoulders. When you imagine life under any system of extreme control, it's easy to focus on the people holding power. But power is only one part of the story. The larger story belongs to millions of ordinary people trying to protect their families, preserve their dignity, and keep hope alive one day at a time. Because in the end, survival isn't always dramatic. Sometimes survival looks like sharing your last piece of bread. Sometimes it looks like teaching a child a dream when the world tells him not to. Sometimes it looks like refusing to let kindness disappear, even when almost everything else has. And perhaps that is the greatest truth about life under any regime built on fear. Fear can control streets. It can control schools. It can control television, newspapers, and governments. But it has always struggled to completely control the quiet determination of ordinary human beings. As long as parents continue loving their children, as long as neighbors continue helping one another, as long as someone still believes tomorrow can be different, hope survives. And as long as hope survives, history is never truly finished.